What's up guys, Learning with Rich here. So for today's topic, I'm going to teach you how to place Revit families using Dynamo. Okay, so from our previous exercise, from our previous video, I have shown you how to link a SAT file that was created from Dynamo into our Revit. So this is the same model that I'm using for me to be able to show you how to place this Revit family from Dynamo into our Revit. Okay, so if you still remember, if I restore down this one, so our canopy is placed somewhere here. So you can check out my previous video for this exercise. Now, the first thing that we are going to do before we are able to place our Revit families into our Dynamo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use points that will be my reference for me to be able to place the lighting fixtures. All right, so I'm going to create a series of points here on my model, okay, on my surface that will serve as the reference for my light fittings. All right, so without further ado, so let us try to explore some nodes or new nodes for us to place a point on our surface. All right, so from our search bar here, I'm going to look for surface and then I'm going to type points. And then from here, you will be able to see point at parameters. So I'm going to click this one. And then as you can see, our surface that point at parameter has three inputs. So we have the surface, which is, we already have the surface, and then we need to specify the U and V value. It's like the Y and X axis on our surface. All right. So for us to be able to do that, by the way, I have changed the settings from auto run to manual running. Okay. All right, so let's get started. So for us to be able to specify the UV, because we already have the surface, okay, so I'm just going to connect my surface here. So now we need to specify our Y and X value or UV. So for us to be able to do that, I would be needing here a couple of nodes, which is number for my UNV, so number, and I also need range. Okay, so I'm going to explain this to you. Just give me a moment. All right. So on our range node, so we have start. Okay, so where are we going to start on our point, and then the end, and then after that the step. Okay, so for our start, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this two times more. V, Control V, Control V. All right. Now, so what I want to do is I want to start my point here on my surface, okay, at point 1. Okay, so point 1, so I'm going to connect that to start. And then I want that to be ending at, let's say, point 0.9. Point 0.9, and then the step will be point 2. There you go. All right. So let me just modify the background. Okay, so something like this. All right. And then go back again to our graph view. Okay, so then after that, I'm going to connect my sequence to my U value here. Okay, so I'm going to copy again these three numbers node. Okay, so I'm just going to select these three nodes, copy, and then Control V. And then after that, instead of copying, why don't I just copy the range instead? So I'm going to copy the range and then Control V so that it's now connected. So it's the same. The start point will be point 1, the end will be point 0.9, and then the step will be every point 2. So I'm going to connect that to my V value here. So if I'm going to run this, let's check it out what will happen. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so let me just hide first my surface here. So for us to see it nicely. So I'm going to hide this and check the preview. Same with the loft here. So right click. All right. So as you can see, this is now our points. Now, so what we want to do is we want to spread these points along y and x and y values. So that's why what I'm going to do is, you see this surface point at parameter. If you are going to right click this, you will see here a choice or an option lacing. All right, so by default, lacing is set to auto. But what I'm going to do, you can actually go for shortest if you want to see what will happen. So usually I just explore this one, what will happen. But one thing that I notice, if I select here cross product, okay, and then I change here the range as well, the lacing, and let's say I'm going to select longest, and then how about if I do not change this one? Let me just make it auto. So for this one, what I did is I changed the lacing to cross product. Now, if I'm going to run it, so this is how it looks like. Okay. So if I'm going to change this to shortest, let's try to explore and then run. So this is how it's look like. So that's the shortest point. And then let me try to make it longest and then run again. Okay, so that's the longest one. So what I'm going to do, let me change it to cross product. So this is how it looks like. So I run, this is how it's look like. Okay, so what happened here is for my U value, okay, the start will be 0.1 and then the end will be 0.9 and then after that the step is 0.2. Okay, so from my U value. So if I'm going to change this, like for example, I change this value to zero point 0.2 just to show you how it looks like. So I'm going to change that zero point 0.2 for my U. Let me disconnect first this one. Okay, so let me change to run. Okay, so let me just move this. So as you can see here, okay, the value here is zero point 0.2, the start is zero point 0.2, so it will start at zero point 0.2. So zero point 0.2, zero point 0.2, zero point 0.2, zero point 0.2, okay? So if I change this to zero point 0.3 and then run again, so it will start at zero point 0.3 and then the step will be zero point 0.2. So it will start at zero point 0.2 along this axis and then the step will be zero point 0.2. Okay, so zero point 0.2 and then zero point 0.2 and then zero point 0.2 and then the termination is zero point 0.9. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me change this back to zero point 0.1. Okay, and then I run again. Okay, so it will start at 0 0.1 and then the step is zero point 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, and then it will end to zero point 0.9. So if I change this end, let's say for example to zero point 0.5 and then I run. So as you can see, it's only until zero point 0.5 here. Okay, so it's based on the graph that you are working on. Anyway, I'm going to change it back again to zero point 0.9 and then run. Okay, and then I'm going to connect now the sequence here to my V or X. And then I will run. Okay. All right. So it's the same also with our V value here. So I started at zero point 0.1 and then it will step every zero point 0.2. So zero point 0.1, it will start zero point 0.1 and then zero point 0.2, then zero point 0.2, then zero point 0.2, and then it will end at zero point 0.9. So basically that's how it's work. All right. So after that, the next thing that we are going to do now that we have placed points on our surface, okay, you can play around with this one. So after I finish this, try to create a simple model, probably just a square, and then play around with the range here, okay, and then the surface point at parameter so that you'll be able to familiarize yourself. All right, so after we create now our points on our surface, the next thing that we are going to do, we are going to create a series of curves or polycurves that span the length of our surface. Okay, the length of our surface. So to do that, we will be needing again our surface point at parameter. So we need to use this. I'm going to copy that, Control C and then Control B. I'm going to place it here. Okay, let me just disconnect this first. Okay, and then I also need to use again my transpose. So we need this one, transpose, to organize. Okay, so transpose, and I also need to create a list. Oops. All right, this one. Okay, and then again, I'll be needing numbers. So Control C, Control B, Control B. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. And then I also need the range. Let me copy the range. Control C, Control V. Let me put it here. All right. Okay, so I need here 3 number input. So I'm going to copy number, Control C, Control V. All right, there you go. There you go. All right. So now, for the surface, we already have the surface here. So I'm going to connect my surface here. So that will be the reference of the curve that we will be creating, this surface here that we have hidden. And then, by the way, I also need the curve, poly curve by points. All right, this one. Okay. Okay, so poly curve by points here. All right, so let's start it. So what I'm going to do is, since we are going to create a line here, so we're going to create a line. Let's specify first our u value here, which is like the y-axis. So I'm going to add here one item. So it's gonna be like this is the first point, and then this is the second point of my y-axis. Okay, like for example, I'm going to start my y-axis at 0, and then I want to end it at 1. Okay, so I want to end it at 1. All right, so I'm going to connect that there, and then to item 1, and then my list to u. Okay, and then for the range, okay, so I want it, the start I want to be 0.2, and then I want to end it at 0.8, and then the step will be 0.2 as well. All right, so let's play around so that you'll be, let's connect this so you can understand more. So I'm going to connect that to my V value or to my X, right? And then let me connect that to my transpose here. So the definition of transpose, it swaps rows and columns in a list of lists. If there are some rows that are shorter than others, null values are inserted as placeholders in the resultant array such that it is always rectangular. So I'm going to connect that there. Okay, and then I'm going to connect my list to that point. Okay, so now let us try to run it. Run. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, by the way, as you will notice, since I copied the surface point at parameter here, as you can see, it also copied the setting of lacing here. So if I'm going to right click that lacing and I change that to longest and then run again, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so let's try to make it shortest and then run. So there's an error. So there's an error. So that's not the correct lacing. So I'm going to change that to cross product again and then run. Okay. So what will happen? So the meaning of that is, all right. So for our u value, we started at 0 here, 0, and then we ended at 1 because this is just a 1 count. Okay. So this portion here, so it's only 1 count. So it's from 0 to 1. So if I'm going to change this, let's say for example to 0.1, and then I'm going to run again. So you will notice it will adjust as well to zero point 0.1. Okay. So let's say I change this to zero point 0.2 and then I run. So you will notice it will change again. These series of lines that I have created here. This 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, not these two lines here. Okay, not this line here and this line here. Okay, because those lines are these lines here. Okay, you see if I click, right, it highlights. Okay, So we are only talking about these 4 lines that we have here, which we have generated when we created this. So after I explain the U value, which is just from the point 1 to point 2, okay, so it's just the start. So I make it 0 again, and then I run. So it will start again at 0, and then it will terminate at 1. Okay, so how about this value on our V? The V is like our X here, our X value. So what happens is it started at point 2. So it's point 2. So if I make this point 1, point 1, and then I run it, so you will notice it will move to point 1. Okay, so if I change this to point 3, and then I run, okay, it will move at point 3. It will start at point 3. Okay, and then the step is point 2. So after it starts at point 3, the next line will create with the step of point 2 along x-axis. Point 2 and then point 2 again. And then it will end at point 8. Okay, so it will end at point 8. So for the number here, let me put it back to point 2, and then I'm going to make it run again. Okay, so there you go. So along x-axis, it started at point 2, and then the step is point 2 as well. So point 2, point 2, point 2, and then it will terminate at point 8. Okay, so basically that's how it goes. Now that we have created our points here on our surface, hopefully you understand some of my explanation. I'm also new in using Dynamo, so my advice to you is try to create a simple model of this one, just a square, and then try to play around these nodes that I have shown you. So now that we have created our points here, so we will be using those points as our reference to place our lighting fixture. So let me just try to turn it on again, the surface preview. There you go. All right, now the next thing that we are going to do, let's try to place now our lighting fixtures. Okay, let's place our lighting fixtures. So for us to be able to do that, so I need to load a family. So like family types. All right, so I'm going to select family types. All right, there you go. So family type. So what is now the family type that we want? Here on our family types node, you'll be able to see here all the family types that is available in your Revit project here. Here in our Revit project. All right. So all the family types that you will be seeing here are the family types that is available on the current Revit project that you are opening. So for this one, I'm going to look for light canopy. So I'm going to select this one, light canopy. So as my family type. And then for me to be able to place these family types along those points, so I need family, and then I'm going to type point. All right, so family by point. This one. It's family instance by point. So this is the one that we need. All right. Okay, so how to do that? So I'm going to connect now my family type here. There you go. And then the points that we need. So we need these points here. Okay, so we are not going to use this yet. These lines that we have created here, the polycurves, that will be on our next exercise, on our next video. But for this one, so the point that we need is these points that we have created a while ago. So I'm going to connect this point to there. Okay. All right. And then let's try to run it. Let's try to run. Run. Hopefully it will work. Did it work? All right. So let's try to hide the surface. Surface. Right click. Preview. Okay, so as you can see, you only have the points here, but if we go to our Revit, so you will now see there our lighting fixtures. Right? See those lighting fixtures? Okay, so it follows our curve here. Okay, so it follows the curve of our loft. Okay, so there you go. So basically, that's how you do it. So that's how you place your lighting fixtures using points generated for our loft model here. Okay, so if I'm going to minimize this one, so as you can see, there's now your lighting fixtures or your light fittings created. Okay, so as you can see, it follows the path of our loft there. Okay, there you go. So it's so nice. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video. Okay, so on our next video, I'm going to show you more how to add structural elements on our model here. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. So for now, we just added our lighting fixture. Now, if you want to add here the canopy that I have created, so you can watch the previous video. All right, you can watch the previous video. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you had comments or suggestions or questions, you can put it in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.